What's up, beautiful people? I'm Tanisha, and welcome back to Tanisha Inspires, where I'm here to help you transform your mind, body, and soul. In today's episode, I am talking about 5 things that I used to do that I no longer do, and it has saved me thousands of dollars. Let's get into it. Let's talk about credit cards. I got my first credit card in college, probably about like my sophomore or junior year, and I thought it was super cool. The concept of it was so dope. You spend some money, you don't have to pay it back till later, and then the amount that you pay back is always minimals. So for me, I'm like, cool, that's cool. I'm a college student, I'm broke, I ain't got no money. So I used my credit card, and then I remember getting more offers because I was paying on it, and I just remember increasing my credit cards, probably 5 or 6 different credit cards. I would carry little small balances. And then because I was able to cover the small balances, I was like, well, let me go ahead and buy, furniture, or let me go and buy entertainment for people. And I remember that number slowly increasing. Now, it took probably about, I'm trying to think, like 10 years. So it wasn't something that was like immediate. And because I was able to pay it every month, I was like, no big deal. But I remember going to Hawaii on a credit card. Y'all, I spent thousands of dollars on that credit card. I thought I was balling. I always had that mentality of, I deserve it, I work hard for my money, so I'm gonna treat myself. And the interest rates for most of the credit cards were like 10%, maybe, I'm trying to think, like 16%. I think one of them was 18% at some point. But again, I was always able to pay the minimum payments. And then I remember, like, that moment for me was when I got pregnant with my daughter. And I remember I had just got an apartment, and I got my first job. I was probably making like $35,000, and I thought I was balling. I was like, look, I got my apartment. I remember getting a car loan, and I just remember being in my apartment, and I felt so scared. At that point, I had racked up probably $15,000 worth of debt, and I could no longer afford all those payments, especially because you got rent, you got other responsibilities, and I just remember getting so scared. I had 4 or 5 credit cards that were maxed out, and I just remember saying something has to change. I had just started a business as well, and so as a business, I was like, well, all I have to do is just make more money. When I make more money, I can afford it. Which unfortunately, I realized later on that that was not the case. I didn't fix the problem. I just looked at trying to supplement that problem. And I remember kind of running across Dave Ramsey, and I don't remember how, but I remember running across his name, and I remember listening to one of his podcasts, and he talks about credit cards and how companies spend thousands of dollars and millions of dollars a year studying people's behavior and how credit cards get people, and I just remember saying, like, man, I didn't get got because I can afford it. But then he started talking about like the interest on credit cards and how much money you really spend paying off $1,000. Let's just say that ends up costing you twice as much just to pay off that $1,000. And then I kind of looked at my life, and I was just like, man, like, I can't go out, I can't live the life that I used to live, and I didn't have that freedom because I was bound to credit cards. I think at the time, like, I kept using my credit cards. I don't know why. I didn't get it fully then, but I remember getting up to $22,000 of credit cards. I think my payment monthly was roughly $600 to $700. And at the time, that was like almost my monthly payment. And I just was like, I can't afford this lifestyle anymore. And I remember Dave Ramsey saying that you have to cut up the credit cards. For me, I never saved money. So for me, like, having a credit card was kind of like my savings. Like, if I had an emergency or whatever the case was, I would pay a little bit of my credit card off. And then as I paid it off, I would use a little bit of that cushion to be able to afford something else. And I just remember getting to a point where I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired and being broke and being miserable and being just unhappy in my situation. And I remember cutting up all of my credit cards. And it scared the daylight out of me because it caused me to realize like I had an addiction and I had to break that addiction. And I also realized like that safety net was no longer there. And so I remember my little one was helping me cut up the credit cards and she was just chopping away and I almost was crying because I'm just like, this is so like, I don't know, like I just felt so scared because I was like, I'm really about to do this. And then I remember I spent 12 months, I moved back in with my parents and I said, okay, I have to get my life together because if I don't get my life together, you know, I'd always dreamed of like having a house and all my friends at the time were getting married and they were having houses and they were like, their life just seemed amazing. And I was like, man, I can't be stuck at my parents' house the rest of my life. Like I have to do something different. And it took me about 7 or 8 months to pay off $22,000 of credit card debt. And man, looking at it now, I did that back in 2019. And looking at my life now, I'm like, instead of that $600 to $700 that I had in credit card payments, I now don't have that. And I now have more income to do the things that I want to do. So I encourage you guys, anyone that is using credit cards, don't use it as a safety net. Don't use it as a way of surviving because these companies are smarter than us and they know that giving those credit cards to people are going to cause people to remain in debt. And I encourage everyone that if you are truly sick and tired of being sick and tired, you are going to do something to change. So get rid of that credit card debt. Large expenses. So I kind of talked about my credit cards and how I racked up $22,000 of credit card debt and how I paid that off. But then I started looking at like, what am I spending my money on monthly? And I remember I used to get my hair done all the time. Like I had weaves, y'all, and weaves are expensive. That hair by itself, you can't get the basic hair. Of course not. You got to get the most expensive or at least the quality hair, and that would cost you a couple $100. And then of course you have to get someone to sew in that because I couldn't do my own hair. And I remember spending probably $300 or $400 every couple of months trying to get my hair done. I would have my nails done all the time. I would live my best life. I travel constantly, and I just remember also eating out all the time. Like I would probably spend maybe $500 a month eating out. And y'all, I didn't have this money. It wasn't like I was making a ton of money at the time. I think my income maybe increased to like $45,000 at this point in time. But I just remember constantly every weekend I had to do something. I had to get out the house because God forbid I just sit in the house. I had to constantly like feed, you know, whatever this desire was of me to, you know, go bowling or go to the movies or go out and eat. I just remember being just, I don't know that word, but like I remember being like addicted to that lifestyle. And I remember watching things that would teach me like, you deserve this lifestyle, you deserve to travel, you deserve to have the newest clothes. It's so funny, I had this situation where I used to shop at Francesca. I don't know if you guys know about that clothing store, but it was kind of expensive. And I remember I was working at a clothing store, probably making like $15 an hour at the time. And I had my credit card and I would go to Francesca probably every week. And I remember a girl saying like, what do you do for a living? Like you come here all the time and you're always purchasing stuff. Like I would get jewelry, I would get new clothes, the likes. And so I remember, you know, telling her like, oh, you know, I'm in business. Now, y'all, I literally was across the street doing clothes. Like, I was not in business. And for me, that moment just has always stuck out for me because I felt like I had this addiction or I had this like desire to like treat myself all the time. And I didn't realize like how detrimental it was. I also had a bunch of subscriptions and just crap. Like in my mind, I was like, this is valid. Like I deserve this. You know, if you don't have this lifestyle, something's wrong with you. But I didn't realize like that lifestyle was holding me back. And so as I was going through my debt-free journey, I remember last year, I think I got my nails done maybe once that whole time. I stopped getting my hair done. If I did, it was just to get like a trim maybe twice a year. And I learned to use my natural hair, which that has been interesting in itself. I'll put that for another video. But I just remember just downgrading a lot of my lifestyle. I remember not going out as much. And I was just like, man, am I a failure? Like, why do I feel this way? Like, why do I feel so bad? And, you know, I just had a a really hard time just kind of coping with like a new way of life. But man, y'all, like getting rid of all of those, you know, desires to feel like I have to do something all the time or feel like I have to like go places or whatever that is, like that was holding me in bondage. And until you change your mindset and until you change how you think about different things, you're going to do the same things over and over. And I've mentioned in several of my videos, that's the definition of insanity. And so I encourage you to look at those monthly expenses, look where you're spending that money, and maybe there's areas that you can cut back on. I know for me, eating out and entertainment were huge for me, y'all, like huge. And I remember just cutting that down and creating a budget for myself to be able to say, okay, it's not like you don't have to do it, or it's not like you are required to sit at home all the time, but like budget maybe $100 every 2 weeks or a month, so that you can go out and do some things and be creative with it. And so I spent a lot of time just really getting into this really good groove at this point in time to feeling where I don't have to do anything, but if I do want to, I can. So look at those expenses that you do on a daily basis, if not monthly or bi-weekly or whenever you get paid, and kind of see like where you spend that money, because typically where you spend that money, it could be something internally that has caused you to do that. It could be like a void that you're feeling. It could be where, you know, you have a desire to do something, but it's just not the most productive, you know, at this point in time. So I encourage you guys to look at your expenses and hopefully cut out some things that you realize you really don't need. Thank you again so much for watching another video. You guys are amazing and awesome. Thank you for the support thus far. If you do like this video, please like and subscribe for more videos. Comment down below on things that have helped you and things that you have learned over the years. Thank you again, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.